Communities First is a Flint-based community development organization where we focus on a few programs: equitable real estate development, economic mobility, and engaged communities. And all those things work together to create a more holistic community because we believe that strong families build strong communities, and strong communities are what build strong cities. And if we can, really focus on ways of how we can impact the community in a transformational way, that's what our goal is as an organization is transformation in a great way. I mean, in a catalytic way. Also, what was your second question? I can pause there. That's why I stopped.
That's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Okay.
Like specifically, if you could tell me, like, so what things did you see that were?
Yep, I can start back from there. Gotcha. Okay. All right. So Communities First, it was founded because we saw that there was a great need for revitalization in the community. Previously, I was in the private and corporate sector, and I would work with a lot of individuals, especially seniors, that were in the community looking for housing options. Even though there's a lot of things that are available, a lot of things are accessible. And when I say accessible, that's from a costing perspective and also accessible living conditions, because everything in our community is built with steps. And we were trying to find ways to house some of our clients at that particular time with the business that I was in at that time. And it was very hard to find. And so started having more conversations with individuals, try to figure out, what could we do to help solve this problem. And at that time, which is my co-founder, Essence Wilson, and at that time we were just, friends, and we were just talking about this idea about trying to see what we could do to solve this problem. And then that's when the whole idea came from, can we go out, find an organization to help? And then we started seeing that there weren't organizations doing the work that needed to be done in the community. And it wasn't a negative thing. There was just an opportunity there to not have, I guess, competition in the space, and to find ways to see how you can collaboratively, well, I messed up that word. Let me go back to that start. I'm gonna start back over at that. Which part I'm gonna start back over at? All right. So we saw that there was a great need in the community, and we wanted to try to find a way to fill that need. So at first we started going out talking to organizations to see who was providing housing, how were they providing it, and then we saw that there was a gap. And then at that time, Essence Wilson, which is the co-founder of the organization, and now my wife, but at that time we were just friends talking about an idea and wondering if there was something that we can do to fill that gap and that void in the community. And that's where Communities First came from. And so our first project was our Oak Street Senior Apartments, which is down on 5th Street, right outside of downtown Flint in the Grand Traverse District neighborhood. Let me start that back over. Mm-hmm. Our first project is in the Grand Traverse District neighborhood on 5th Street, which is the Oak Street Senior Apartments, which was the former Oak School Elementary.
And so you have a few things that you're addressing. One of them is housing. Mm-hmm. And is this to help people find affordable housing? Mm-hmm. Is it to?
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, so I mean, it's not just. I mean, it's about providing. Sorry, it's about providing not just affordable housing, but it's about a quality of life. And sometimes people think of housing as just warehousing people. But we don't look at it as warehousing people, right? We look at how do we build communities and build it in a holistic manner and use the housing as a stable, to help stabilize families and individuals in our community. But we provide housing to all different walks of life, right? So we provide housing to seniors, to people that are homeless, veterans, the middle class, the graduating college student. We provide housing to the waiter, at a local restaurant. We're always trying to make sure that we're finding ways to provide equitable, accessible housing so people can have. Let me start back over there. We're working to create equitable, accessible housing where people can have equitable access to everything that they need. Everybody should have access to a grocery store. Everybody should have access to a pharmacy or a park. and all those different resources that you may need in the community. And what happens in places like Flint and other places, across the country that's similar, is you have communities that haven't had a lot of investment and have lost a lot of people over time, and you've had a lot of businesses leave. So what can you do? And what we decided to do collectively is build an organization that can get people close to resources or bring the resources to them while providing the housing and then making sure that people are stable as well.
That sounds great. It sounds like you're in the business of building community.
We're definitely in the process of building community. That's where our name is. It's communities first. But when you think about the when you think about the IES, it's more than just one community, right? It's speaking for the people that feel like they have no voice, right? But then it's also speaking for people who speak the loudest, and then trying to see how do we fit in and take the commonality and the common threads to make sure that we're really solving community problems, right, in a holistic and equitable manner.
I really was struck by what you said about, like, it's not just about seniors, it's not just about home, like, you're looking to make something that's very
inclusive.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we look to build communities that are inclusive of everyone, right? It's not just trying to build. Oh, no problem.
If we could do that again.
Yeah, no problem.
Relax your eyebrows and don't forget that nobody knows what question she asked you. So be sure to summarize the question in your response.
Okay. What was the question again?
It was about, you actually gave me the key word. It was about inclusivity.
Okay. Yeah, got you. Yeah, so we are building inclusive communities, things where everyone can live. It shouldn't be a zip code that separates people. The only thing that should separate people is a person being your neighbor, and that's what we should do. And so what we're focused on is creating an element of, humanity, right? And people not judging people from their socioeconomic status, but really trying to work together to say, how can we collectively build this community together? And we all need someone, right? No matter who it may be, because the same people that you talk to and that you deal with every day, everybody plays a part in our community. And we have to find ways to live amongst one another to really have a more just place.
A lot of people have talked about Flint as I don't want to make a stereotype, but like when the automobile industry left, that had repercussions, that travel down and businesses left and places to work and tax base and all these things. Is that sort of at the base of the problems that you're trying to address?
How do I want to answer that question?
Go anywhere you want to.
Yeah, I
because
know.
people have.
Yeah. Wow. I don't think that General Motors, I guess I'll put it this way, was just the problem, right? I think there was issues on both sides of that, right? I'm gonna start that back over. I don't believe that General Motors leaving was just the problem. I think it was more or less the proactive thinking that was a problem collectively, probably on both sides when it comes to probably leaders at that time. And not saying that it's a negative thing. It's just what happens is, like, when you have a golden horse, right? Like, people always they want to ride it, and that's what they're in forever, right? Where other communities had to think of ways, when they didn't have General Motors, they had to think of ways to be more innovative and to bring in different industries. The only thing that I say that I feel bad about is that we didn't use that to leverage other industries to bring into our community outside of just automotive. But what other things could we have brought into our community to really think proactively about the future? General Motors was great to our community. It was great to my family as well. So I'm not saying it was a negative thing as far as, General Motors didn't provide, because there are a lot of people in our community. We were actually one of the top 5 wealthiest places to live in the country for per capita, per household, on income for a while. And that's huge for our community. And a lot of people made money. There's a lot of foundation funds or private family funds. But a lot of people have moved on because, for some reason, we didn't take that proactive look about what we could do in the future in the event that if General Motors decided to leave. But General Motors is still here. They're just not as big as what they were. But you also look at that as an opportunity for a community to reinvent itself, right? And I think anything that helps a community strive and to try to find ways to redo things or to renew itself is always a great place for like groundbreaking innovation to happen, right? And so when does innovation happen? It's like at that point where people feel like there's nothing else, there's nothing happening. So how are we looking at this as a community? I guess I would say we looked at it as an opportunity of, okay, you see destruction, so that means renewal, right? You see people leaving, right? How do you build homes for people to come back? You see jobs leaving. How do you create the new job opportunities, right? So it's having that balance between how you look at it and then also how you attack the problem and or opportunity that presents itself.
It's fantastic that you're seeing not a problem, but an opportunity, or that it gives birth to an opportunity. When I first asked you about your organization, you mentioned like 4 things. Housing was one, but you had several other.
Yeah, I can I'm trying to figure out where I want to cut,
Uh-huh.
because those can go on forever, literally. Yeah, because we have you can take whatever of these pieces, I can just talk about them. You can cut them
Absolutely.
however.
It's just nice to know.
Yeah. So in our economic mobility work, we do a lot of financial literacy and wealth building, supportive services for our residents. We find ways to include resources, not just building housing, but how can you make the individuals and family whole? And in order to have wholeness, you have to be connected into so many other things. So after you get a new home, right, or before you get a new home, you need a job, right, for stable employment. Where are you going to spend your money, right? So you need financial literacy to understand budgeting. But then there's other things that you can do in this world, and some of these things don't cost. And some of them are free, or some of them are very minimal cost, such as getting more involved in arts and culture. And we take families to museums, we take families to ball games, anything that you can think of that could be. We've even rented tall ships and took families sailing out on in the lake. And so it's really trying to find those ways and opportunity to connect all these services together to make sure that people are having a fullness of life.
It's a very a word that's thrown around a lot now, but it's so fits you. It's like a holistic approach because you're looking at everything. What does it do to people when you expose them not only to ways to make money and live, but when you expose them to things like art and culture? What does that do for kids and for young people?
Yeah. Anytime you expose anyone to something different or package it differently, sometimes it's not about it just being available, right? It's about services being accessible to people. And accessibility has more than just the location. Accessibility has to do with how people feel when they walk in the door. Who are they walking in the door with? Who's introducing it to them? And what we have done as an organization is took that walk and that journey along with families and individuals to say, what can we do to make people more comfortable to go to a symphony or to go to the art museum where they would never go? So we'll take a whole bunch of first-time museum individuals together, and we'll all figure it out together, right? We all went curling. I went curling for the first time a few years. I gotta remember on video, sorry. We went curling once upon a time, and that was my first time going curling. And to experience that also with other families that's never been curling a day in their life. We all fell on the ice together. We all had laughs together, but it didn't make me inaccessible to them. They also saw that I was able, as the president CEO, I look at myself as a regular person, but sometimes people put you on a pedestal, that you don't want to put yourself on. But, that allowed people to have those moments to say that we're all human. We all experience things for the first time. don't feel bad just because you don't have the funds to do particular things. It's just going out and having that exposure and going out and doing it anytime, with people that you know and people that you care about.
That's great. And exposure, opening up people's minds is really fantastic. So how does it work? Do you have programs? Do you have workshops? How does somebody access what you're offering?
Yeah, we have different ways for people to access. I mean, we have, well, I mean, now with COVID, I guess, do you want to talk about COVID at all or no?
We can. I mean, it's affected everything so much for the past 2 years.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how do I want to talk about access at this particular point in programming, because we have in-person programming. So I will just talk about it to you, and then you figure out what y'all want to do with it. But we've had, over the years, in-person programming, online programming, anything that you can think of. As far as we have one event that continues to go each and every year for like the last several years, which is like our Movies Under the Stars, which is a big outdoor movie event that we do each summer, where we, have thousands of families come out over the summer and enjoy a free movie, and everything is free. So we give away free popcorn, free pizza or hot dogs, candy, juice, water, anything that you can think of that you can go to a movie. And what happened was when we first got started, we were, thinking to sell the concessions because we thought, man, this could be a good fundraiser for communities first, to sell this stuff. But then once we started thinking about the families that were coming, people had to pick and choose what they wanted. And it wasn't making it the family experience we wanted, because we had some families coming from the shelters. We had some families coming from different places. And for whatever reason, it's very hard to watch a mother walk up, to a concession stand and tell their kids they have to split a popcorn, split a candy bar, something that we have there. So when we talk about accessibility, that's one way how we remove barriers. We said, you know what? We just need to raise more money to make sure we just give all this away for free. And we talked to our sponsors, and we were able to do that, and they stepped up. And we haven't had to charge anybody for anything over the last several years for like Movies Under the Stars. And then, but also there, we offer a lot of community activities and supports. So we have a lot of partners that we work with in the community, and we'll have them come and set up a table and and have, their materials on display, whether if it's signing up people for voting, whether if it's healthcare, any of those services that people need. So now the family can come, get resources they need, and then also don't have to experience the barrier of buying something, and then also can enjoy a wonderful movie with their family and then go home and everybody's happy. So that's about things being available, things being accessible, and things being inclusive. Doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, but everybody comes together and have a good time.
Sounds great. It sounds like we didn't talk about on camera when you started. If you could tell me when you started and what you've learned since then, how you've changed your approach maybe, or what you've adjusted, because I'm sure getting into this with communities and all these different people has really taught you a lot about the best way to help.
Yeah, I mean, the best way to help any community is to be flexible and listen, right? I think what happens is a lot of times is that either nonprofits or corporations, they have a way of doing things, and that's what they stick with. And as an organization, as the community evolve and as the needs evolve, we evolve, right? But with a name like Communities First, and you say communities first, if we don't evolve, then we're not putting the community first. And so that's how I look at it, is just the evolution of us. So each time something happens where we saw that people weren't engaged in policy or engaged in, policy and advocacy work here locally, we wanted to find ways, how can we get people more involved in policy and advocacy, because there was a gap there that no one was filling. So we, started to get people more involved in policy and advocacy work, right? Some people didn't have an understanding of environmental or sustainability and what that could look like, how that could save their families thousands of dollars a year just being more energy efficient, or the ways that we impact the environment. And once we did that, we reached thousands of people as well, seeing those particular services. So like I say, over time, it's really just listening, being tuned in, and making those hard choices to say, if this doesn't work and this is not what the community wants anymore, then we need to be nimble and flexible and adaptable to what's needed by the community.
So that's great. Do you have a big staff? How do you reach so many people? How do you?
This is a personal question. Like, I don't know if this is for a video. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So, I mean, our staff is, I mean, I think we have, 12? 12 on our staff, and I think we're hiring 7 more right now. So we'll probably be tripling in size actually within the next year with all the stuff we have going on right now. So,
Fantastic.
yes.
And you're all over Flint?
Yeah, so our organization serves all of Flint. We're actually a statewide organization, but we're based in Flint. But we have an office in Detroit. We work in Saginaw, Lansing, Indiana, and we're doing some other things throughout the Midwest and in the state as well.
Wow, that's great.
Mhm.
What are your? Well, I guess we'll go to Essence soon, but I wanted to ask you, what is your hope? What is your vision moving forward?
Yeah, that's a good question. Because I have a few things. I'm just trying to figure out which route I want to take.
Take more.
I think the vision.
Sorry, I was talking on top of you.
No, you're fine. I mean, the vision of the future, I mean, for us is how do we continue to remain dynamic and meet community needs, right? In that moment where we're not meeting community needs, you know, are we still relevant? You know, what do we do at that particular point? I'm always thinking about the future, always thinking about succession planning, what's next, who's next. Is it ever going to be a time where I become bored at doing what I'm doing? I have not got there yet, but I think about it all the time. And, you know, this has really become, you know, a part of our family as far as the organization and the work that we do. And it's really leaving a legacy, I think, is the future of, is that if you see that there's a problem and you see that there's a gap, that anything is possible. Because we started this literally from the, you know, our kitchen table, right? Started from talking about it over a kitchen table. And then we were in a small, you know, 6x7 office space that was very small, you know, to now having a couple of offices serving thousands of people, you know, within, you know, the last 11 or 12 years. You know, that's not always normal, you know, for an organization. But if you plan and you have the right people on your team and you know, and you have a goal and you continue to go after it, I'm not going to say it's going to be easy. So I hope it inspires the next generation. And if there's something that they see as a gap, that they'll fill it.
That's very impressive what you've done in 10 years, or 12 years. One last question for you, Glenn. How does it make you feel, or do you see people transformed? You know, do you see people that have found a way to improve their life or engage more with the community that, you know, you've been a part of that? Do you see that, and how does that make you feel?
Yeah, so I guess there's a couple levels of that, right? Is that there's a narrative change piece that, you know, every time we do a new development, right, it's blasted, you know, all over the state or all over the Midwest and sometimes the nation. And that helps change the narrative on that particular perspective about how people see Flint, right? Is because when that goes out and that marketing, that media happens, I mean, that's narrative change. Then there's more on a local perspective, is that when we talk to community people and they say they want to see a project or they want to see something get done, and then we're able to do that. And then when they drive through their community or their neighborhood and then they see it get changed, then they actually know their voice is being heard. Then there's the aspect of the people who live inside the buildings. And those individuals are the ones that I guess I find myself most concerned about, because there's no sense of providing people homes and without helping provide them opportunities. And I can think of one gentleman that was struggling with addiction that moved into one of our places, went through all the programs that we had. At one particular time, he didn't have custody of his daughter, you know, had credit issues, and he came in and, you know, he was all in. Then he had a moment where he fell, and then everybody rallied around him, our supportive services coordinator, and they supported him, and he picked himself back up. And to hear now that, this gentleman has, custody back of his child, right? He has full-time employment. He's, working in the community. Nobody never knows, his story at this particular point. And then he moved out, not because he had to, but because now he made more money. He bought a home. He has a new child on the way. So when you hear those type of stories, so I think that's the thing about renewing, because once we renew him and that family, that renews a whole generation. Right.
One more question for you.
You said that was one more question.
I know. It seems like this place, Flint, Michigan, has had very unique things going on. Sometimes harder than a lot of places. The companies leaving, some kind of varying degrees of housing crisis, the water crisis, some racial issues. It seems like you guys have had a lot of particular problems that are
Unique.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What do you feel about this place and the people in it? And
Yeah, the city of Flint, people got grit, That's one thing about us. It's blue collar, working town. People are okay with getting their hands dirty. And I think that's the one thing that makes you so excited just about our community in general. Is like people are willing to, bust, like people have worked on manufacturing lines, for years, right? They're used to the gritty work, nasty work, the dirty work, and then come out and try to get clean again, get to, wash their hands, come out the factories or whatever job that somebody's doing. But our city has grit, it has resilience, it has a knack for being knocked down and getting back up. It's like the cat, with 9 lives, right? Is, people here just won't die, no matter even if people were trying to do it intentionally with water or not trying to do it intentionally. The thing is like, we get knocked down, we get right back up. The faith of individuals in this community, the drive and the passion to see the community to want to be better. That just gets you excited just thinking about it, right there, is that there are people who could have left who decided to stay. People like me and my wife and other people that we know that decided to stay or to even come back to the community to put their hands to the work. There's, like I said before, there's so much opportunity. I don't know why I'm thinking about a quote when it says those who stay will become champions. Like that's how I feel like the community is going to thrive and those who are around are going to see, great manifest, and, it's going to benefit them if they take the chance to sit down and really get invested in our community and buy in to what's happening.